This is a short demo of the new functionality that's been added to Reportal over the last week or so, just to add some functionality for capturing PPE stock ordering and forecast values. So you'll see I'm logged in as an administrator. So this user has access to pretty much everything in the system. On the left here, we've got PPE stock and orders and the new PPE forecast form. I've also got this cube which I'm going to use to look at some of the data. So I'm going to filter the data by month and choose April, the month of April, and look at, let's say, the 3 hospitals I've got plus Western Cape and South Africa nationally. And as columns, I want the stock quantities, all the elements that are in the stock quantities. That's 20 elements. Once I've done that, it builds this table at the bottom showing that I've got a filter on the month of April 2020, and then all these elements, these 20 elements as columns. So surgical safety goggles, clear fog-free face, and then the 3 hospitals, the Western Cape and South Africa. So if I click this load data button, it populates the table with the data from the database, and you'll see it has data for Groote Schuur for the goggles, 22 for Tygerberg, and it aggregates those together for the Western Cape and for South Africa to 22. But there's no data for Eerste Rivier. So what I will do is log in as if I'm a user within Eerste Rivier. So this is my login, which I've set up as a PPE user. This is a very basic user. This user type only has access to these 2 forms. So it keeps it very simple. It's very straightforward for them to use this. So if I click on the PPE stock and orders form, it opens up it knows that my login is associated with Eerste Rivier, and it opens this form up, and it asks me how many surgical safety goggles do I have, how many surgical masks, and I can fill in data here as I like. I can also put in the order quantities. I've got 150 on order for 15,000 Rand. I have 20 of those for 200 Rand. I have 1,800 of those for 3,600 Rand, and so on. So I can just keep adding data in here as I like, and then just click save when I'm done. This form also scales reasonably well. So if I'm on a desktop or a tablet or a mobile phone, I can also fill it in. If I go to what it will look like on an iPhone, I can fill the form in on an iPhone. It kind of still works quite nicely. So on portrait or landscape as an iPhone, it looks all right. Okay, so once I fill that data in, back in the cube, the administrator can refresh the cube at any time, and it loads in the data for Eerste Rivier. So the 50, 25, 10, 5, 1, 1, that's all been loaded in. It automatically aggregates those. So 50 plus 20 plus 2 gives me 72 for the Western Cape and so on. And all the data comes through nicely in this cube. The other form is the PPE forecast form. So again, this user has access to Eerste Rivier's forecasting form. I can put in that I'm expecting to need 1,800 goggles in April, 2,500 in May, 3,000 in June, and then maybe it comes down to a lower number by September. So he or she can keep filling these in as they would like to. Click on save, and that data has been saved. So these forms will also carry over the data, so you don't have to fill it in from scratch each time. you just have to go in and update it. So next time I come in here and open up the PPE forecast form, it will load the data and present what I had at the last point, potentially dropping the month of April as we move into May and so forth. Right, so that data is also available if I change the elements from the stock elements to forecast elements. So if I choose all the forecast elements, you'll see now that I have some data here for Easter of Fear in April. So I filled in that 1800 and 154 Easter of Fear. If I wanted to look at this in a different sort of pivot table sort of way, I could say, let's say we wanted to look at that Easter of Fear data, so I would select Easter of Fear as the entity, as the filter. For the dates, I want the months, so I'm going to, take all the months. So there are all the months. I'm going to select all of those, and elements are still the forecast elements, and load data. So Easter of Fear, you'll see here the figures that I filled in: 1800, 2500, 3000, 2500, and so on. And I can just shuffle those around to view the data exactly as I would like to see it. So yes, this can show me aggregated data. I can look at the national picture, let's say South Africa, and there's the figures that have been combined and aggregated for South Africa from all the different provinces. The idea will then be to have an export function, so you can export this data to Excel or to CSV or to whichever format we need, and get the data out for further analysis, but we'll also be putting in some additional graphs and charts and other types of reports. I think that pretty much covers it. So yeah, that's how the system has evolved over the last week. And yeah, I hope it can do what you need it to. Thank you.